My name is Hannah Brooks, and at 40, I thought I'd finally earned my place at the family table. I walked into my parents' house in Raleigh, North Carolina, carrying two pieces of news I couldn't wait to share. I'd landed a major design contract and was getting married. But at dinner, my parents and brother didn't hold back. "You're nothing but a burden," they sneered, their words slicing through me. The room froze as every eye locked on me. I wasn't staying silent this time. What I said next left them speechless and changed everything. Have you ever faced family betrayal? Drop your story in the comments. I want to hear it. My whole life I felt like a shadow in my family's house in Raleigh. My brother Jason, a doctor, was the star always praised for his hospital awards. Me, I was just Hannah, the one who never measured up. In high school, I'd stay up late sketching designs, hoping mom or dad would notice. They didn't. They'd beam at Jason's science fair trophies, saying he'd make them proud. Once I won a local art contest with a mural I painted for school. I rushed home, certificate in hand, thinking they'd care. Mom glanced at it and muttered, "That's nice," then turned to Jason's latest medical internship. Dad didn't even look up from his coffee. That wasn't the worst of it. By my 20s, I was pouring my heart into interior design, building a freelance career. Mom rolled her eyes, saying designing's a hobby, Hannah, not a job. Dad would add, "Why can't you be like Jason? He's saving lives." Their words stung, but I kept trying to prove myself. When Mom's small business hit a rough patch, I lent her $10,000 from my savings money I'd scraped together from freelance gigs. She promised to pay me back, but never did. Jason wasn't any better. His fancy car got repossessed after a bad investment, and I bailed him out with another $5,000. Neither of them thanked me. Then there were the family events. I organized Mom and Dad's 25th anniversary party, spending weeks booking a venue, designing custom decorations, and picking their favorite foods. Jason showed up with a bottle of wine, and Mom hugged him, gushing about his generosity. Dad clapped him on the back, saying, "You're the best son." I stood there holding a stack of plates I'd arranged, feeling invisible. When Jason needed help with a presentation for a big hospital grant, I stayed up nights, editing slides, making sure every detail was perfect. He got the grant, and Dad threw a barbecue to celebrate. My name never came up. The pattern never stopped. Mom would call Hannah, "Can you plan the family reunion?" Or, "Hannah, we need you to sort out the holiday party." I always said yes, thinking it'd make them see me. It didn't. They'd praise Jason's latest surgery success or his new house while my work was dismissed as just decorating. By my 30s, I was exhausted. My design business was growing. I'd even landed clients in downtown Raleigh, but Mom still called it playing with furniture. Dad kept asking when I'd get a real career like Jason's. The final straw came when Mom needed another loan last year. She said her business was sinking again, and I gave her $15,000, putting my own plans for a new studio on hold. She took the money, no questions asked, and never mentioned it again. Jason, meanwhile, leaned on me to proofread his medical journal article. I spent hours on it, missing my own deadlines. He got published, and Mom bragged to everyone about her brilliant son. I got nothing, not even a nod. Despite it all, I kept showing up for them, hoping one day they'd see my worth. My grandma was the only one who noticed. She'd call me her quiet hero, saying my designs brought beauty to the world. Her words kept me going, but they couldn't erase the ache of my family's dismissal. By the time I hit 40, I was done begging for their approval. That dinner for Mom and Dad's 30th anniversary was my last chance to share my victories, a big design contract, and my engagement. I walked in thinking maybe, just maybe, they'd finally see me. I was wrong. That day, I poured my heart into preparing for Mom and Dad's 30th anniversary dinner. I'd spent weeks crafting a custom photo frame, hand-carved with their initials, and a memory book filled with pictures from their wedding, family trips, and holidays I'd pieced together from old albums. I thought maybe, just maybe, these gifts would make them see me. My stomach churned with hope and dread as I drove my sedan to their house in Raleigh. I clutched the gifts, telling myself this could be the night they'd finally value my effort. Mom met me at the door, her face tight. "You're late, Hannah. she said, barely looking at me before turning away. I swallowed hard and stepped into the living room, where Jason was sprawled on the couch scrolling his phone. He glanced up, smirked, and said, "Nice of you to show up, Hannah. Didn't think you'd bother." His tone dripped with sarcasm, and I bit my lip to keep from snapping back. I set the photo frame and memory book on the coffee table, hoping for a spark of warmth. "I made these for you all," I said, my voice steady but nervous. Voice steady, but... Mom raised an eyebrow, inspecting the frame. "It's quaint," she muttered, setting it aside like it was junk. Jason didn't even look up. "Doesn't really fit the house," he said, tapping his phone. My chest tightened, but I forced a smile, trying to shake off the sting. Dad walked in, barely glancing at my gifts. "Jason, you bring that whiskey you mentioned?" he asked, his eyes lighting up. "That's what we need tonight." I stood there, my hands clenching the memory book, feeling like I was fading into the wallpaper. Jason stood, pulling out a sleek bottle of bourbon from his bag. Mom's face broke into a grin. "You always know what we love, Jason," she said, hugging him tightly. I watched my throat burning as my gifts sat untouched, pushed to the corner of the table. Trying to shift the mood, I opened the memory book. "I put this together for the family," I said, showing pages of old photos, Mom and Dad's first dance, our childhood beach trips. I thought they'd mean something. Mom barely looked at it. "That's sweet, Hannah. But we don't need old pictures cluttering things up," she said, her tone dismissive. Jason snorted, not lifting his eyes from his phone. "Nobody has time for that, Hannah." "I was just telling Dad about my new clinic project, huge deal." Dad nodded, clearly impressed, and launched into questions about Jason's work. I gripped the book, my face hot. I'd spent hours on it thinking it'd spark a connection. Instead, it was tossed aside like nothing. Grandma shuffled in, her steps slow, but her eyes warm. She saw the memory book and smiled. "Did you make this, Hannah?" she asked, her voice soft. I nodded, grateful for her attention, but Mom cut in before I could answer. "Let's not get distracted," she said sharply. "We need to set up for dinner." Jason smirked, leaning toward Dad. "She's always making it about her," he whispered loud enough for me to hear. Dad gave a slight nod, not disagreeing. I carried plates to the dining room, my hands trembling. Every jab, every dismissal hit like a punch. I kept telling myself to stay calm, that dinner might change things. Maybe when I shared my news, the design contract, my engagement to David, they'd finally see me. But as I set the table, Mom glanced over and said, "Hannah, don't mess this up tonight." Jason chuckled, and Dad stayed silent, his eyes on his phone. I gripped the table's edge, my heart sinking, dreading the dinner ahead. As we sat around the dining table, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe this was my moment to shine. The room buzzed with chatter, plates piled high with food for Mom and Dad's 30th anniversary. I adjusted my napkin, took a deep breath, and prepared to share my news, a major design contract, and my engagement to David. My heart pounded, ready to be heard. "Everyone," I started, my voice steady, "I have something to share." Mom cut me off, waving her hand. "Hold on, Hannah. Jason was just telling us about his new clinic." Jason leaned forward, grinning, and launched into a story about his latest surgery, his voice dripping with pride. Mom nodded, eyes sparkling, while Dad asked follow-up questions, hanging on every word. I sank back in my chair, my words stuck in my throat. I tried again. "Okay, I really want to say." Jason interrupted, his tone sharp. "Can we focus on something worth hearing?" he said, smirking. "I just got named lead surgeon on a big project." Mom clapped, gushing, "That's my boy, always making us proud." Dad raised his glass, toasting Jason's success. My stomach twisted, but I gripped my fork, forcing a smile. The table hummed with praise for Jason's brilliance, Mom and Dad beaming like I wasn't even there. Grandma tried to shift the conversation. "Hannah, how's your design work going?" she asked, her voice warm. Mom shot her a look. "Let's not bore everyone with that," she said, her tone icy. Jason snickered, muttering, "Yeah, her little projects aren't exactly saving lives." That was it. Something inside me snapped. I set my fork down the sound, cutting through their chatter. "You know what I said?" my voice shaking but firm. I'm tired of this. You act like I'm nothing. Mom's eyes widened, but she didn't speak. Jason scoffed, crossing his arms. Dad stared his glass halfway to his mouth. I stood up my chair, scraping the floor, and locked eyes with them. I was going to tell you, I landed a huge design contract, one that's changing my career, I said, my voice rising. And I'm getting married to David. But you don't care. You never have. Mom leaned forward, her face cold. Hannah, stop making a scene. You're nothing but a burden to this family, always dragging us down with your pointless dreams. Jason nodded, adding, No one expects anything from you, Hannah. Why would we? Their words hit like a slap, echoing every doubt I'd carried for years. But instead of shrinking, I felt a fire ignite inside me. If I'm such a burden, I said, my voice steady now, then why did I lend you $10,000, Mom, when your business was failing? You never paid me back. And you, Jason, $5,000 to save your car from repossession. Where's my thank you? The room went silent. Mom's face paled, and Jason's smirk vanished. Dad looked away, his hands fidgeting. Even Grandma seemed stunned, her eyes wide with pride and sorrow. I kept going, my heart racing. I organized this entire anniversary dinner, booked the venue, designed the decorations, paid for half the catering out of my own pocket. And what do I get? You praise Jason for a bottle of bourbon. Jason shifted uncomfortably, but Mom snapped. That's your duty, Hannah. Don't act like a martyr. Jason chimed in. You're twisting this to make us look bad. Grandma stood, her frail hands gripping the table. You should be ashamed, she said, glaring at Mom and Dad. Hannah's been the heart of this family, and you treat her like she's invisible. Mom's jaw tightened, but she didn't respond. Dad muttered, Let's not escalate this, avoiding my gaze. Jason rolled his eyes, muttering, Always so dramatic. I took a step back, my chest tight. I've given you everything, my money, my time, my heart, I said, my voice breaking, and you call me a burden. I'm done holding this family together while you tear me apart. The silence was deafening. Grandma's eyes met mine, a quiet nod of support. I didn't wait for their response. I grabbed my purse, my hands trembling, and walked toward the door, my resolve hardening. This was the end. I stormed out of my parents' house, my heart pounding as I gripped my purse. The Raleigh night air hit me like a wake-up call, sharp and cold. I climbed into my sedan, my hands shaking on the wheel, and drove straight to Kelly Foster, my best friend since college. I didn't even knock. She opened the door, her face full of concern. Hannah, what happened? She asked, pulling me inside. Her voice was gentle but firm, grounding me as I sank onto her couch. I walked out, I said, my words heavy. I told Mom, Dad, and Jason I'm done holding their lives together. My throat tightened, but I forced the words out. They called me a burden, Kelly, after everything I've done. Kelly sat beside me, her eyes steady. You were brave. Hannah, she said. They've taken you for granted too long. You don't owe them anything. Her words hit hard like a lifeline, pulling me from the chaos. I replayed the dinner in my mind, their sneers, their dismissal, Jason's smirk. I keep thinking maybe I went too far, I admitted, my voice shaky, but I'm so tired of being invisible. Kelly shook her head. You didn't go too far. They crossed a line, Hannah. Calling you a burden. That's not family, that's cruelty. I nodded, her words sinking in. I told them about my design contract, my engagement to David, I said. They didn't even blink, just kept praising Jason. Kelly leaned forward, her tone fierce. That's their loss, not yours. You're building an incredible life, Hannah. They don't get to claim it. My phone buzzed a text from Mom. Hannah, you're being childish. Come back and talk. I showed Kelly and she snorted. Childish. She's the one who insulted you. Another text came from Jason. You're making this all about you as usual. Chill out. I clenched my jaw, my anger flaring. They don't even see what they did, I said. Kelly grabbed my hand. They're trying to pull you back with guilt. Don't let them. I opened my phone, my fingers trembling, and blocked Mom's number, then Jason's. Dad's silence at dinner hurt. Just as much I blocked him, too. I'm done with their excuses. I said, my voice steady now. Kelly squeezed my hand. Good. You deserve people who lift you up, Hannah, not tear you down. The next morning, I woke up feeling lighter, like a weight had lifted. I called David, my fiancé, and told him everything. You did the right thing, he said, his voice warm over the phone. I'm proud of you, Hannah. His support fueled me. I threw myself into my design work, pouring my energy into the contract. I landed a project for a major Raleigh hotel. Late nights sketching layouts and meeting clients felt like reclaiming my life. I wasn't just decorating anymore. I was building something real. Kelly checked in daily, bringing coffee or dragging me to dinner to keep my spirits up. We talked about my wedding plans with David, a small ceremony, just the people who mattered. No family drama. I told her, laughing for the first time in days. She grinned. Just you, David, and Grandma, right? I nodded, thinking of Grandma's quiet nod at the dinner. She'd seen me when no one else did. Over the next weeks, I focused on my future. I met with my team to finalize the hotel project, sketching bold designs that earned praise from clients. David and I started hunting for a new place, a cozy apartment with space for my studio. Every step felt like a declaration I was done living for their approval. Blocking my family wasn't just about anger. It was about choosing myself. I didn't need their validation anymore. Kelly's words echoed in my mind. You're enough, Hannah. For the first time, I believed it. My life was mine now, built on my terms with David and Kelly by my side. I wasn't looking back. Months after I walked away, I poured everything into my work. My design contract with the Raleigh Hotel turned heads. Clients raved about my bold layouts, and my team pushed me to dream bigger. I took a leap and opened my own interior design firm, Brooks Designs. The launch was a whirlwind: late nights, sketching meetings with investors, and a feature in a local magazine calling me a rising star. The advance from the hotel project gave me enough to change everything. David and I sat down one evening. Papers spread across our kitchen table, planning our future. We could buy a place, he said, his eyes bright. Somewhere that's ours. We found a cozy apartment in Raleigh with big windows and a corner perfect for my design studio. Signing the papers felt like a victory, a step toward a life I'd built myself. Kelly was there, every step helping us pick furniture, joking about my obsession with neutral tones. You're killing it, Hannah, she said one night over pizza, raising her glass. I laughed, clinking mine against hers. Her support was a lifeline, pulling me through the moments I doubted myself. Grandma became a constant in my life, too. I'd visit her every Sunday, bringing her favorite pastries and design books she loved from her librarian days. You're my pride, Hannah, she told me once, her voice soft. Don't let anyone dim your light. I hugged her tightly, her words filling the cracks my family had left. She never mentioned Mom or Dad, and I didn't ask. That part of my life was closed. Whispers about my family's struggles reached me through a distant cousin. Mom's business, already shaky, collapsed without my loans to prop it up. She'd relied on my money for years, never planning for herself, and now she'd lost her storefront. Jason's career took a hit, too. His clinic project, the one he'd bragged about, fell apart after he botched a major presentation. Without my late-night edits, his proposals didn't land. Their annual family barbecue, one I'd always organized, didn't happen. My cousin said Mom complained to everyone, blaming others for her failures. Jason stopped posting his usual polished updates online, his confidence crumbling. I didn't feel joy hearing this, but I didn't feel guilty either. They'd made their choices. I focused on my own path. My firm landed a contract to redesign a chain of boutique hotels across North Carolina, a deal worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. My name started appearing in industry blogs, and clients called from as far as Charlotte. David and I spent weekends decorating our apartment, playfully arguing over wall colors. I set up my studio in the corner, a desk by the window where I could create. For the first time, My life felt like mine, free from my family's judgment. A year later, I stood in a small garden ready to marry David. The air was warm, filled with the scent of blooming jasmine, and the sunset cast a golden glow over our handful of guests. I wore a simple white dress, nothing flashy, and David looked at me like I was everything. We'd planned a small wedding, intimate and meaningful, with only Kelly and Grandma in the front row. Kelly, my maid of honor, adjusted my veil with a grin. "You're stunning, Hannah," she whispered. Grandma, in her best dress, leaned on her cane and winked. "You've made me proud," she said, her voice thick. The ceremony was short, but heartfelt. David and I exchanged vows we'd written, promising to build a life of love and respect. When he slid the ring onto my finger, I felt the past fall away. Kelly cheered louder than anyone when we kissed, and Grandma clapped her smile wide. My family, Mom, Dad, Jason, wasn't invited. I hadn't spoken to them since I blocked their numbers, and I felt no regret. This day was for those who saw my worth. At the reception, a cozy gathering in a local barn with the fairy lights, Kelly raised a glass. To Hannah, she said, for choosing herself and showing us what strength looks like. I blushed, clinking glasses with her and David. As we danced under the stars, I thought about the journey that brought me here. That dinner, when they called me a burden, broke something in me, but it also set me free. I learned love shouldn't come with conditions. Setting boundaries wasn't selfish, it was survival. My firm kept growing, and my designs were featured in a national magazine. Clients sent letters saying my work inspired them to reimagine their spaces. That success, paired with our new home and this wedding, was a dream I'd fought for. I didn't gloat about my family's struggles. Mom's bankruptcy, Jason's failed project, Dad's silence. Their absence didn't hurt anymore. I'd built a life that didn't need their approval. Looking at David laughing as he spun me on the dance floor, I felt whole. Kelly joined us, pulling Grandma into a gentle sway, and we all laughed, the moment perfect. I'd chosen people who saw my heart, Kelly's fierce loyalty, Grandma's quiet wisdom, David's unwavering love. That was my family now. I turned to the camera, my voice clear. If you've ever felt unseen, know you're not alone. You don't have to stay where you're not valued. Set those boundaries. Choose people who choose you. Your worth isn't defined by those who can't see it. My family thought I was a burden, but I proved them wrong, not for them, but for me. Don't let anyone's selfishness dim your light. Walk away, build something better. It's hard, but it's worth it. I paused, smiling. Thank you for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, share yours in the comments. Hit that subscribe button. We're stronger together.